Today we are going to dig a bit deeper and bring a bit of common sense to the situation with Jim Carrey, because people have been, like went very, very far, and to the point where we kind of don't understand what is real and what is not real. And in this video, I want to bring a bit of common sense, as I think that we kind of need it, answering to this question: was Jim Carrey replaced or cloned by the Illuminati? And the reason why I want to address this exactly, because when people say Jim Carrey was replaced, Jim Carrey was cloned, that kind of like embeds two situations in the same one, which is either he himself sent us like a double just because he wanted to be somewhere else or not to be bothered by that or just have fun with it, or he was somehow vanished, disappeared by the Illuminati and they replaced him. Those are two different situations, and I want to address the second one, because the second one is really the problematic one, right? If he did this just as an experiment, that's fine. If someone else did it with his approval, that's fine. But if he disappeared and there are kind of like malicious forces and groups of interest who made this happen, well, that's a serious thing. So this is exactly what we're going to address. But keep in mind that today I want to bring a little bit of common sense, because people are going too far with this and there is no basis. And you see, there is a difference between what you want to believe and what is reasonable to believe. And this is exactly what I want to bring. I'm not one of these people who are going to be like, oh my God, walking aliens between us, although they could be. But I am trying to bring a more grounded perspective and a little bit of common sense into this, into this situation. I'm recording my screen, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask a few questions about things that would be important for us to understand. But before that, let me actually pull up my notes, because I do have some notes, and I want to, where is my domains? YouTube, coaching, all sorts of things in here, but not what I'm looking for. YouTube. Yeah, maybe YouTube would be good. Jim Carrey. I found Jim Carrey. Ladies and gentlemen, I found Jim Carrey. It's on my computer. Well, not really. So yes, those are my notes. That's it. We're getting into it. So let's search for a few things first. Okay. I'm going to just open the microphone. I'm going to hope that it works. Please work. Thank you. Hello. It works. I have a question about currently, as in like 2026, what are the real proven capabilities of anybody to be cloned, like a person? Where is the technology? Are there any instances or cases that are well documented and proven that might point to this? I'm asking this in the broader context of recently what happened with Jim Carrey showing up to the French awards, having like a face that doesn't look like him. And yeah, I wonder, would it be possible? And if yes, to what degree? Reasonably speaking. I love the fact that I can say the most stupid, like I can formulate the question in the most stupid, kind of nonsensical, chaotic way. And Claude, in this case, it kind of like thinks, would be like, what is this guy saying exactly? I like, ooh, I got it. So, you see, he's also very polite. Great question. Like, sure. Great question. Let me break this into two parts. What actually happened to Jim Carrey? Wait, and where human cloning technology actually stands in 2026. What happened to Jim Carrey? I don't think you know, to be honest, but okay. Jim Carrey, now 64, received an honorary. Okay, so yeah, we know this, and let's get to the facts, okay? Like, Claude, I don't want your opinion right now, okay? I just want facts. Where human cloning actually stands in 2026. That's it. That's it. And by the way, this is, I know that some of you might think like, wait, it's where things stand in 2026, abilities and technologies to clone people for what we know, not what we don't know. And that has some, it's reasonable to think that way because, for example, ChatGPT and Claude from Anthropic and other AI technologies, the one that you can use is not really the one that the government can use. So therefore, there is some truth and validity to that. But let's go from here. There are two different things people mean. Reproductive human cloning, making a genetic copy of a person. Yes. This has never been achieved and remains one of the most tightly regulated, of course, and ethically banned areas of science globally. No surprise. Here's where the science actually stands. Dolly the sheep, I heard this one personally in 1996, remains the landmark, the first mammal cloned from an adult somatic cell using a technique called somatic cell nuclear transfer, a few letters. Since then, dogs, cats, horses, pigs, and primates have been cloned with varying success rates. Varying. But cloning mammals remain extremely inefficient with very high failure and abnormality rates. So it looks like it's not really the technology as the public technology. It's not really there, and it's not like even close to that. And we're going to see how this actually, I'm going to use this point a little bit later, but I just want to get to the facts first, and then we put them into context to bring a bit of, common sense. No verified human clone has ever been produced. The most famous claim, Dr. Huang Woo Suk, I'm sorry if I messed up that name, in the early 2000s turned out to be outright scientific fraud. Reproductive human cloning is banned by law in most countries. My question here is this, like, how something that is technically impossible, how is it banned by law? That's the first thing where my mind goes. Like, I'm like, did we ban, for example, teleportation? Did we ban human invisibility? Did we ban human flight? Did we ban, I don't know, teleporting yourself through time? No. But we did ban by law reproductive human cloning. Like, how come we have a law for something that is technically impossible? That's the first thing. I'm reading as you read it, so I'm like as surprised as you are. Even if attempted, the resulting person would only share DNA, not memories, personality, appearance, details shaped by environment, mannerism, or lived experience. It would be like an identical twin, not a copy of a person. Yes, but just walk with me a little bit into the fantasy land. If, let's say, that some group, some sort of, group of interest would clone a person, and this clone doesn't have the memory, the behavior, all of that. Well, technically, that would be something that you can train, right? So, yeah, you cannot really clone everything about the person. That's why the Jim Carrey that show up in the French awards talk different and looks different and sound different. But hey, it's Jim Carrey until proven otherwise. But yeah, you could still train a clone how to act as the cloned person, right? Okay, digital cloning, deepfakes, AI impersonation. Well, I'm not talking about that. This is where actual proven documented capability exists in 2026. Yes, but that's just images, videos, not what we are looking for. Okay, So this is one. This is where the technology is. And as you are going to see in this video, I'm going to get some facts and then we put them together into bringing a bit of common sense to this. So stay with me. I'm looking at my notes. He was, this is my notes. I'm just reading them as I took these notes 2 days ago. So I'm as surprised as you are as I'm reading it. He was using just words like many other people, no proof. I'm not sure exactly what I meant here. He was using just words like many other people, no proof. Okay, I have no idea. I'm going to come back to this, but because yeah, I took this notes 2 days ago. Stay with me, stay with me because I'm actually interested to find, man, like, is this really possible or just like people are going crazy about this? People did not take him seriously. Okay, so this is one thing that I want to bring. If Jim Carrey was cloned by whoever, I think he would be the perfect target for such a stunt. Why is that? Because he played the mask. He was literally the main person that would change his face into ways that hardly anyone imagine doing. So it was right up his alley. Like, it was really, he filled he does have the profile. He has the right profile for something like this. And, you know, if you know, he was replaced in some sort of way, they chose him right. They didn't choose someone else which this would be outside of their character. No, Jim Carrey acting like surprising is still Jim Carrey, and I guess this is what contributes to the confusion. But again, is this intentional? If it is, it's pretty smart, because even if this would happen, people would not really know, cannot really know the truth, because Jim Carrey technically could act, could come up with something like this. He would be the right person, and that's why this is interesting. But I said I'm going to bring some common sense. So let me cool down a little bit. Just like, I'm going to just like breathe in and breathe out a little bit to cool down. I'm trying to find the truth about Jim Carrey. So here is a point that I want to bring. So main concern people have is that, oh, he was replaced by the Illuminati, like some sort of like forces out there, groups of interest with a lot of power, influence, and, you know, invisible to the public eye. Well, here is what's wrong with that theory. Groups of power would definitely come up with something better, something that would not an entire world could actually feel and see. Like, this is not Jim Carrey. Like, if this move would be like most conspiracy theories say, like, oh, it's like the Illuminati, it's like, well, if that would be the case, you would not know. Like, nobody got fooled by this. Like, it's pretty good, but not good. So I don't think that really, if anyone, like, imagine someone that really has the interest to replace Jim Carrey or to replace this person with a clone, well, this looks like amateur, to be honest. Okay, it looks like amateur stuff, because nobody got fooled by this. And this is the one time in the world where everyone agreed. This is the interesting part. Everyone agreed that this is not Jim Carrey. Wow. Then the results are not that good. So, ladies and gentlemen, so far I tend to say that, look, maybe, so he doesn't look like him. It looks like someone else. It looks like a clone or something, but maybe a mask, or who knows. But I don't think that is justified to go as far to say, like, oh, the Illuminati, he was talking about the Matrix, he was talking about the, you know, the influences, all the bad things, the illusion of society and all of this, and then he was replaced. Here is another point. There are other, and you can find this right now, there are other YouTube channels and journalists and people who speak of really dangerous topics right now. And nobody replaced them, nobody cloned them. But you might say, okay, they're not so popular, which I agree. Usually, YouTube channels or journalists that talk about very sensitive stuff, but they bring like as close to the truth as you can. Yeah, they don't have that much influence, which is true, but still they are way more specific into what they are saying. So in a way you could say that, well, that is a lot more dangerous to whoever would want that information not to be out there. But they are still there and they are still doing their job, and nobody tried to replace them. And I would say this, and now I remember what was my second note. I said he was using just words like many other people, no proof. Exactly connected to this. You see, I told you I will remember this. He was just pointing generally to, it looked like he had the realization. Some people call that enlightenment. It might be a bit too much, but whatever. But he didn't point to anything specific, like, okay, here's what this guy is doing. Here's like many other people who actually are in danger. They are attacking more specifically with more proof, and then they become a target. Well, Jim Carrey, if you really want to see the truth, he was speaking pretty generally. He was not very specific. Okay, and you might say, yeah, but when he was on the Jimmy Kimmel show and he was pointing to the Illuminati and like, you are on it and this, yeah, but that's still, how can I say? It's not nothing new. It's nothing new, really. How many people go search are pointing to different things that could be very uncomfortable to groups of interest, but they're still there. So from this perspective, I don't think he got disappeared in the sense that people, oh my God, he got replaced, the Illuminati, this is a clone. I'm not sure about that, because again, let's just stay on the facts. I don't want to be... Look, I think that we have enough voices that just go very far, very fast out on the fields without really searching for the truth. And I think that it's our duty as society to, when we look at any kind of event, is to bring critical thinking. So my job here is not to tell you like, not to adopt like a certain view. It's like this or like that. I'm just saying, look, let's consider the facts. That's all. Because the moment when we don't consider the facts, the moment we just allow our own biases to we tend to believe certain things. We want to believe certain things. We want to believe that, like whatever floats your boat. You go online, you search on YouTube, and YouTube algorithm knows exactly what triggers you and what you like, and it's going to serve you the right videos, and then you'll be like, yeah, I knew it, but it's not necessarily true. Like, I think we should have a commitment towards facts, properly evaluating, like having a clear mind, and bringing some common sense to this. Like, it's just like too many people are going too far, too fast. That's what I'm... and I understand many people will not like this, no problem. If you value the truth, if you are searching for the truth, we can find that together, at least not, like get closer to it. But unfortunately, many people, they're looking just for validation. They're looking like, no, I knew it, this is the case, blah, 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 and all of that. And they are selecting the videos or the content that agrees with their point, and they are bashing or trashing anyone who disagrees. At one point we have to choose. Like, I believe that truth is the only thing that worth pursuing. We should not pursue our own biases, what we want to believe, our own fears and all of that, but society will benefit when everyone inside will be some sort of truth seeker, right? And society collapses when the truth is no longer there. Like, we don't operate on reality, we operate on projections. And that's why I think this is, it goes beyond this situation with Jim Carrey. It's just common sense should be more common. So in that sense, I was making this point that, well, he was using just words. Those are not like just words with no proof, I was saying, right? That is not really the first, like, oh my God, this is he was doing the most dangerous part out there and he got disappeared. Like other people are putting themselves and are speaking about way more uncomfortable truths, and they're still out there. And I'm just saying, at least we have to consider this. I don't know the truth, but I'm here to just bring like a zoom out perspective to consider a little bit more than just what we want to believe. And also, I'll tell you this, like, why would anyone, like, let's just take this idea that, oh, he was replaced by Illuminati, replaced, cloned. How much does it cost? Imagine, we don't know, the technology is not there, but how much would it cost to clone a person, including the cloning the body and then training the person, and all that goes into it, like God knows. Not to say that for now it looks like it's a inexistent technology, so therefore even if it exists under the radar, it's not public, it must be very expensive. Okay, compare that to what is the go-to way in which in our day and age you see already some people are disappearing. Well, some people commit suicide. It just happens that they spoke bad about something that was uncomfortable to some people, and then they committed suicide. So that is a lot cheaper. Why would anyone why would anyone try to work with an impossible technology, or like with an inexistent a technology that is not there yet, that everyone would see that, yeah, well, it's not him, so likelihood of success almost zero, as proven, rather than, I don't know, like the usual, like we all know, like I don't need to say it, I love my life, but like, why would that be preferred? And you might think like, oh, but because if you cloned him, then he will still be Jim Carrey. Let me see what's the logic here. If you clone and replace the person, people will still believe in Jim Carrey, like the idol, the person that they look up to, and they will listen. But now we, as the bad group of interest, whoever we want to believe, we would control what this cloned version says. So therefore, people will be so stupid that they will now believe what we want them to believe. But you see the problem here. Nobody got fooled by this. Like, forget about the believing the words. Nobody got fooled by the person, even the face. So really, to be honest, if this would be like a high level, super powerful, infinite money kind of group that would want to disappear Jim Carrey, this looks sloppy. At least we can say that, because if it would be done properly as it should be, in that case, well, everyone would be fooled. And Jim Carrey would look exactly like Jim Carrey. He would talk and sound, and his eyes would be exactly the same, and he would say different things. And now people will be like, wait, what's going on with him? Like, why he changed, right? But that's not the case. Nobody got fooled from the first level, like appearance. So therefore, this is my second argument. I don't think that we can go so far to say something like this. Let me look at the notes and see what else do I have here. I had this note, this would be the first case to silence someone by being replaced. And like I said earlier, yeah, there are definitely, in that case, which it looks like definitely it happens. We have no proof in most cases, but yeah, unfortunately, this already happened multiple times, and it's something that, it would be just more easy, just more easy. So therefore, this is another reason. Identify self-biases, what we actually want to believe. Yeah, we have to discuss self-bias, because when we believe something, we have to understand, are we believing this because it validates our own bias? Or is this because it speaks of truth? It's based on facts. It's a wise, It's a reasonable way to look at the situation. That's why I'm saying, if you are watching videos like this to find the truth, that's very different than most people. Most people are looking for validation. They already have set their mind on something. They believe things are like this. I know, they are already convinced, and you cannot take this outside of their mind. But again, then you cannot claim that you are searching for the truth. You cannot have it both ways. So if you want the truth, stay on the truth. If you want to just be validated into what you already believe, that's no longer the truth, because you don't know. Like you cannot really be closed-minded. Like you have set your mind on something, and at the same time to feel like, well, we need to search for the truth. What happened to Jim Carrey? Well, if you want to know what happened to Jim Carrey, make sure that you're open-minded. And that's something that most people, to be honest, unfortunately, they're not. But well, I found a theme for my YouTube channel. I want to bring a little bit more groundedness, a little bit more, sounds kind of big, but wisdom or common sense and good judgment to so many topics that create so much confusion, so much chaos out there. And yeah, this creates a lot of problems for us. It's not like what society believes has no impact. Oh, it has actually pretty big impact, because, well, everything moves based on what people believe. Let me put it this way. What most people in society believe, that's where things are going. So the beliefs that you adopt, what you actually think, matters beyond your thinking patterns. It matters as in it influences everyone around you, and that's, my God, like there is no better predictor of reality than to see how a group of people collectively think. If you see a group and understand the ideology that they are operating by, you understand where this is going, like what they are going to build, where they are going to go, because actions are guided by thought, and the way you think will make you act in certain ways. This is common sense. Okay, so I'm continuing with the notes. I ask about historical cases. What do you want me to ask? Ask about historical cases. There are no historical cases. So then, the only real clone that was proven, it was Dolly, the ship. So yeah, not very encouraging idea. Now, I want to address, okay, so what do I believe? Because I want to make something very clear. I don't want to be here just making you more confused. Considering the fact that the technology, again, the public technology, that which is public to us, available to us, considering that not everything is available to us, okay, granted, but considering that the public technology, the documented historical technology is not there, not even close, although it seems like it was banned, which is interesting, it looks like it would be way too expensive. If there would be such a group of interest, it would be way too expensive to pull this off reliably, because as it goes with this conspiracy theory, this Illuminati group of interest would want to replace Jim Carrey because he was saying some bad stuff. Let's let it in there. Yeah, okay, but the effort should have worked way better than it did if that would be implemented by someone with unlimited money, unlimited power. And it failed miserably. So again, this is where that line of argument, this conspiracy theory, in my view, again, I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything, but in my view, it doesn't hold water. It doesn't make sense. And then if you add on top the fact that if there will be such a group of interest, that they have way cheaper, more efficient ways to stop someone from saying bad things that they don't like. It's like a highly intelligent group would be so intelligent to know like, hey, this will not going to fool anyone. Imagine, just imagine. Okay, so like, okay, we take the Illuminati, we speak about something that we don't know, but whatever. Okay, so imagine, like, just forget about names. A secret group of people. They are in a room. I don't know what they're doing there, smoking cigars. I don't know. Just like, let's make it dramatic. And they have like I imagine they have like a board, like a TV. One of them presents like, hey guys, so we decided that we're going to replace Jim Carrey. And so I want to present to you the clone, Dolly Carey. And click, he shows on the display the clone, right? I think that from all that group of super highly intelligible, super competent, infinite money people in the room, at least one would say like, bro, but it doesn't look like him. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this won't work. The point to replace him, it would be to work. It's stupid. So don't you think like at least one of them would have that to be like, guys, like, let's just cut the budget for this. Like, we can do it cheaper, more easy. Like, come on, we know we did this before. So then what are we doing here? So considering all of this, I would say, no, I don't think that Jim Carrey was replaced by the Illuminati or groups of power and the infinite money and the interest, because the work was too sloppy. I think there must be a good explanation that we're not aware of, but it's not that. Unless we just want to believe something like, oh my God, it's the aliens, it's this. Like, come on, like let's just cool down a little bit and use our mind, use our judgment, because to be honest, the world needs it. The world needs good judgment, and we don't need to create conflict out of nothing. Yes, it's confusing. Even me, if you watch my video, I did this last week. I looked at the Jim Carrey from French awards and I'm like, this is not Jim Carrey. Even myself, I'm like, who's this? Like, even the title of the video says, who's this? And by the way, what's funny? I published that video, and the moment when I publish it, I know my videos, my like, I know YouTube is a brutal place, but I have no problem with that. I published the video, and in few hours I got like 20 something views, which for my channel, this is huge. I feel like I'm, like it's trending. But after a few hours, the views like cut abruptly. So I got like roughly 20 something views, 3 likes or something, and then instantly dropped. And I'm like, dude, like, I thought that this video is going to do great, and it did for a few hours, and then boom, they cut it. But Again, I don't want to get into the conspiracy theories. Oh my God, Alien was saying the truth and they silenced him. I'm like, you know what? I think that common sense and a little bit of wisdom go a long way. So it doesn't matter. Okay, let me see what I have in the notes, because I still have the notes. I hope I'm not going to repeat myself quickly. The only possibility, if something went horribly wrong and this was just a last resort measure for things not to get exposed, but to fizzle out into the unknown. Okay, this is where I found one instance, one technical possibility in which this could be a clone put there by whoever is your favorite dark, I don't know, secret group. Let's say that something went horribly wrong. Oh my God. Even me saying this, it feels like stupid. I'm sorry for this, but that would be the only thing. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I want people to understand that it's a very, very, very small possibility that this conspiracy theory is right. Like, he was actually replaced by this powerful group, whatever, they silence him. Like, the only thing is that only if something went horribly wrong and, like, someone needs to make things go away. So like, well, we cannot disappear him and then just like put this, but that's such a small possibility that it's not really in the reality, common sense territory. I think it's just something that, yeah, Some people might want to believe, but it's not necessarily true. So the only truth here is that time will tell. And I want you to see that this is not a closed topic. This is pretty much an open topic. And that means that really the truth cannot be really determined right now. We can just make, how can I say, we can place bets. We can say like, well, this is less possible than that. That is more possible than this. Like, that's all you can do. Unless you just want to believe things and then you have 100% certainty, but that's, my channel is not for that. But I'm saying the truth is going to be revealed in time. Because, well, for example, this is where you're going to see if he disappears, if he no longer goes to interviews, well, it looks like he was actually replaced. And that was just like a temporary solution. And then now Jim Carrey goes out of the limelight. He is no longer doing interviews. He is no longer in the public eye. He just disappeared. He appeared there as he was replaced, and then he will no longer appear. Well, in that case, truth will tell time will tell the truth. But that truth is he was replaced. But it was like a last resort measure, something very fast. And that's why it looked like it was not really him. It was like sloppy work. And therefore, now he will just disappear. In that case, yeah, time will tell. But here's the thing. If he doesn't, then I guess we're going to hear from the man himself. You think that this is going to just go away and he is not going to do any interviews? Like nobody, like at this point, I bet there are so many people who want to interview him and see the truth, to answer definitively to this question. Well, that's exactly the point. All that you have to do, and we have to do, because I also don't know with certainty, we just have to wait. We just have to wait and see what happens. Now, there is wisdom into waiting, because if you, like you see many people, maybe you yourself, you decide that what you want to believe in advance. No, he was replaced by this group and like he silenced him. Well, then you're no longer going to be opened towards the truth, because you already closed that possibility and be like, you already determined what you want to believe. But I think the wise move here is time will tell. Time will tell. And I give you two options that I believe clearly show what you can believe after some time. If he completely disappears for years and he doesn't do any interviews, that's strange at least, because, you know, like when the world and the internet wants to find out something, that will get to you. You cannot really isolate from yourself from that unless you don't care. So if he completely disappears, that's strange. But if he doesn't, eventually someone will be granted an interview and they'll be like, hey, are you Jim Carrey? Like, let me touch your face or whatever, something like that, right? And then eventually we will find, like I said, from the man in himself. I believe that waiting and being patient before you draw conclusions is a lot more important, not just in this situation to understand what's going on, what has happened, but generally in your life. Because when you decide too early what you want to believe, you are closing the possibilities to eventually discover that maybe you're wrong.